Hi Math 2 students. Today we are going to go over how to graph quadratics. A lot of the stuff the information that we have to write out here is stuff that's hopefully kind of review. We've been reviewing it the past couple of days. But then this actual graphing stuff over here is what's going to be new for you. So whenever you're doing these, the first thing I recommend you do is figure out what the vertex is. So my vertex is going to be 1, 4. Remember, you keep the sign of the guy on the inside. Oh my gosh, you change the sign of the guy on the inside, keep the sign of the guy on the outside. So we end up with 1, 4. Now, what I recommend doing is once you get your vertex, immediately go and put this in the XY table, right in the middle, okay? Then we should also be able to figure out what our axis of symmetry is. Our axis of symmetry is always just x equals the x value of our vertex, which is going to be x equals 1. Then we can look, okay, is this going to be a minimum or a maximum? Well, this guy is definitely going to be down like a frown since he's negative. So that means that we have a max. And then for our transformations, we can use our vertex to figure out up, down, left, right. So if our vertex is 1, 4, we go 1 to the right and 4 up. So we're going to say 1 right and 4 up. Additionally, we have to look at this number out in front. It's negative, which means that we have a reflection. And there's no other number in front, which means it's a 1, so there is no stretch and no compression. So it's just kind of the normal amount of width. All right, now to find the y-intercept, I would write this down. Whenever you need to find the y-intercept, you plug in 0 for x. All right, so in this case, I'm going to do negative, open parentheses, 0 minus 1 squared, minus 0, close parentheses, squared, plus 4. All right, so I go to my calculator and I get, I'm going to do negative, open parentheses, 1, minus, oh my gosh, negative, open parentheses, 0 minus 1 squared, and then plus 4. So when I do that, I get 3. So my y-intercept is going to be 0, 3. All right. Your y-intercept is always going to be 0, something. You have to plug in 0 for x and see what your output is. All right. Then the actual graphing part here. After you put your vertex in, you're going to plot 2 numbers ahead of this guy and 2 numbers behind this guy. So like if you look at a number line, if I have 1, 2 numbers ahead would be 0 and -1. So I'm going to do 0, -1. And then my next 2 numbers, it would just be 1, 2, and 3. So what I need to go do now is go plug in these values to my function. So when I plug a -1 in, I'm going to do negative, open parenthesis, -1 minus 1 squared plus 4. Make sure that you're doing this with me as I go. So please get out your calculator, plug this in so that you can make sure that you're not getting an error and you can plug these in correctly. So when you plug these in, you want to make sure that this guy and this guy are the negative symbol, and then this guy is going to be the actual subtraction symbol. Okay, so keep that in mind as you are plugging it in, or else you're probably going to get an error. So I'm going to do negative. That's the guy with the parentheses down here in the corner. Open parentheses, I do -1, and then I do minus. That's when I do the minus that's above the plus sign. 1, and then I close parentheses, square, and then I do a plus 4. So my output here is 0. Then I'm going to go plug a 0 in. Well, I actually already did plug a 0 in. That's how I got my y-intercept, but we could plug it in again. No big deal. We do negative, open parentheses, 0 minus 1 squared, and then plus 4, and I get 3. I don't need to plug 1 in because I know that my output's going to be 4 since that's my vertex. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug a 2 in. Now, if you have a TIA 84, if you arrow up and like highlight, you can, and you click enter, it'll just like drag this down and you can just go back and edit the value that you plugged in. It'll save you a little bit of time. So when I plug in a 2, I get a 3 out. and then I need to go plug a 3 in, and I get a 0 out. All right, so now I've got 5 points to plot. So this first one, I'm going to go to -1, comma 0. So -1, comma 0 is going to be right here. 0, 3 is going to be right here. -1, 0, 0, 3. And then 1, 4, I'll do that in black here, is going to be right here. 2, 3 is going to be right here. And then 3, 0 is going to be right here. Now we're graphing quadratics, graphing parabolas, so they're going to have that U shape. So then you just kind of connect it, give it a nice U shape, and then you're going to draw the arrows in the direction that it's opening. So this one's opening down like a frown, so we got to draw the arrows going down. The last thing I would do here is the interval of increase and the interval of decrease. So you can kind of cut your line in half with your axis of symmetry, which in this case is x equals 1. And we know that our x values on this side are going to be x values that are, oh, let's see, they want interval notation. So the x values on the left-hand side here are going to be -∞ to 1. I'm doing this because they want interval notation. When you want interval notation, you use the infinities. And then the right-hand side here starts at 1 and is going to go to +∞. So now we have our little man walking. He always walks from left to right. Okay, so he's walking. In the beginning here, he is going up, so he's increasing. So our interval of increase is going to be this guy. We're going to do -∞ to 1. Then he continues walking and starts to go down. Our interval of decrease is going to be 1 to infinity.